Good day, everyone. Welcome to Maed 202 School Laws and Policies. Dr. Ariel Cubillas, Professor. Hello, I'm Joanne Mitalas, your Maed student. The objectives of this report is first, indicate the primary concern and attention of the government. Second, point out qualification requirements for the teacher examination applicant. Third, recognize the vital role of the teacher in the nation building. Fourth, identify the different sections of degree prof- professionalizing teaching. Presidential Decree number 1006, also known as professionalizing teaching, providing for the professionalization of teachers, regulating their practice in the Philippines and for other purposes. Providing for the professionalization of teachers, regulating their practice in the Philippines and other purposes. Whereas Presidential Decree number 1006, all educational institutions shall be under the state, the supervision of the subject to the regulation by the state. The Department of Education and Culture has adopted ways and means of overseeing all the educational institutions in the country. Third, the function of DEC has been primarily beamed towards ensuring that the educational institution inculcate in the student tree love of the country, teach the duties of the citizenships, and develop moral character, personal discipline, and fourth, to implement these objectives, the institutions have relied upon their teachers whose direct and continuing interaction with the young people and children make them potent forces for the development of proper attitudes among citizenry. Whereas these account for the tremendous growth of the teaching population, comprising in the civil service sector alone more than 300,000 teachers deployed all over the country. 6. To ensure that the immediacy and urgency of the teachers' recruitment are not overlooked, it has become necessary to regulate the teaching profession. 7. Teaching is the only course that is not yet a profession. 8. In the recognition of the roles of teachers in nation building, it is imperative that they be considered as professionals and teaching to be recognized as a profession. Presidential Decree number 106 1006, section under the Presidential Decree are first, the title, which, which is the decree of professionalizing teaching. Second is the declaration of policy. The teacher education shall be in the primary concern and attention by the government. It is hereby declared a policy that the teacher education shall be given a primary concern and attention by the government and shall be of the highest quality and strongly oriented to the Philippine condition and to be the needs and aspiration of the Filipino people even as it seeks enrichment from adaptable ideas and practices of other people. Section 3, definition of terms, which are the teaching, teacher, and the board. Teaching is a profession primarily concerned with the classroom instruction, while a teacher is a person engaged in teaching. And the board, the National Board for the Teachers duly constituted under this decree. The section 4, the creation of the National Board for the Teachers. First, the Secretary of the Education and Culture. Second, the Chairman and the Civil Service Commission. These are the co-chairman of the board. Next is the Commissioner Professional Regulation Commission. Number two, two members representing the private to be appointed by the President. These are the members of the board. Then Section 5, the power and duties. The board will appoint a set of examiners for every examination who will determine and prepare the content of the board examination for teacher, hereinafter prepared as examination in the elementary and secondary level of instruction to be held as a last 1 year. Next is fix the places and dates of examinations. The board shall appoint supervisors and room examiners among the employees of the government who shall be entitled to a daily allowance to fix by the board for every examination day actual attended, use the buildings and facilities of public and private schools for examination purposes, approve applications to the examination, and approve release of examination result. The next is looking into the condition affecting the teaching professions. Look from the time to time into the conditions affecting the practice of the teaching professions. Adopt such measures as may be deemed proper for the enhancement of the said profession and or maintenance of the professional standards and ethics. Next is the professional teacher certificate. Issue, suspend, rebuke, replace, or reissue one professional teacher certificates and administer oaths. Then appointment employees. The appointment employees are subject to the provision of existing laws. Such officials and employees are necessary in the effectivity performance of its function and responsibilities. Prescribe, prescribe their duties and fix of their compensation. Next is the collection of examination and other fees. Prescribe and collection examination and other fees it may deem proper. And next is promulgate rules and regulations. Exercise such as powers, functions, and duties necessary to carry and to effect the purposes of this decree. Section 6, qualification requirements for examinations. No applicant shall be admitted to take the examination unless on the date of filing of the application he shall have complied with the following requirements. Section 6, the qualification of requirements. The examiner must be a citizen of the Philippines. Second, have a good moral character. Third, free from physical mental defect. Fourth, possesses minimum educational qualifications. Presidential Decree number 1006, Section 7, the appointment of examiner. The board shall appoint a set of examiners of every examination who are recognized authority in the teacher education, and their names shall not be disclosed until after the release of the result of the examination. They shall each receive as compensation of the sum of not less than 5 pesos for the examinees as may be determined by the board, but in no case shall each examiner receive more than 18,000 per examination. Any examiner who is in the service of the government shall receive the compensation herein provided of this salary. Section 8, the scope of the examination. The examination shall consist of the written test, the scope of which shall be determined by the board. taking into the consideration the teaching plan of the schools legally constituted in the Philippines. Section 9. The ratings in the examination. The ratings in the examination, in order that the candidate may be deemed to have successfully passed the examination, he must have obtained a general average at least 70% in all subjects with no 50% in any subject. Section 10. Report of the results of examinations. The examiner shall report the ratings obtained by each candidate to the board within 150 days after the last day of the examination unless extended by the board. Section 11. The issuance of certificate. Teachers who have passed examinations given by the Civil Service Commission or jointly in the Civil Service Commission and the Department of Education and Culture shall be considered of having passed the board examination for teachers. The board may be considered their certificates of ratings as certificates of eligibility or issue in the entirely new certificate upon the registration of the teacher and payment of the corresponding fees. The Section 12, which is the registration. The Civil Service Commission shall, as an arm of the board, register holders of a professional teacher certificate which registration shall evidence that the registrant is entitled to all the rights and privileges of a professional teacher until and unless the certificate is suspended or cancelled by the board for just a cause. Section 13. Reissuance of revoked certificates and replacement of lost certificate. The board may, for the reason of equity and justice, and upon proper application, therefore, the issue another copy or original or duplicate upon payment of the required fee, or a certificate which has been reviewed. A new certificate to replace a lost, destroyed, or mutilated certificate may be issued subject to the rules of the board. Section 14. Registration by reciprocity. The Civil Service Commission shall, upon approve the board, effect the registration without examination of a teacher validity registered under the laws of any foreign or country, provided that the requirements for registration in said foreign or state or country are substantially the same as those requirements and contemplated by this decree. And the laws such as foreign state or country allow citizens of the Philippines to practice the profession of the same basis and grant the same privileges as the citizens subjects such as the foreign state or country, provided finally that the applicant shall submit competent and consultative documentary evidence confirmed by the Department of the Foreign Affairs showing that his country's existing laws permit citizens of the Philippines to practice teaching profession under the rules and regulations governing citizens thereof. Section 15 of Presidential Decree Number 1006, the prohibition 3 years after the effectivity of this decree, no person shall engage in teaching and or act as a teacher or private elementary or secondary unless he is a holder of a professional teacher certificate or is considered as a professional teacher under this decree. 16. The penal provision. Any person who shall practice teaching without a valid professional teacher certificate, or any person presenting as his her own certificate or another, or any person giving any false or forged evidence in order to obtain a professional teacher certificate or administration to an examination, or any person assuming himself as a registered professional teacher, or any person violating any provision of this decree shall be penalized by a fine not less than 1,000 pesos nor more than 5,000, with subsidiary imprisonment, or suffer the imprisonment of not less than 6 months nor more than 2 years, of both such fine and imprisonment in the discretion of this decree. Section 17. Repealing clause. All acts, decrees, executive orders, administrative orders, rules and regulations, or parts thereof, inconsistent with the provision of this decree, are hereby repealed or modified accordingly. Section 17, Section 18, Separability Clause. Separability Clause. In case in any provision of the decree or any portion thereof is declared unconstitutional by a competent court, the supervision shall not be affected thereby. Section 19 is the effectivity. This decree shall take effective January 1, 1997, done in the city of Manila, this 22nd day of September in the year of the 1976. That's all my report. Thank you. God bless.